We have to confront the warped ideologies espoused by terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIL, especially their attempt to use Islam to justify their violence.
New levels of rhetoric and the need to strip them down and get right to the meat. Let's welcome to MidPoint. Our first guest is professor at Georgetown University, not far from some of my old haunts along M Street. Also a noted Republican strategist, Bradley Blakeman. And we're also joined by the host of Steele and Ungar on Sirius XM, senior political contributor to Forbes, from New York City, and not far from some of my old haunts in the Village, noted Democratic commentator Rick Ungar. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ed.
Good to be here.
We've got a lot of haunts going on here. Hey, Bradley, look, I'm going to get to you first on this one. Honest to goodness here, did Rudy Giuliani just go too far at this point? Because people know that he's a passionate, emotional man, but to spit out that the president doesn't love America really has struck a hard nerve.
Yeah, I think Rudy is fantastic, but I think he went too far. No American should accuse the president of not loving the country. We certainly have disagreements with the way he governs the country, but to the president and his motives of being of not being patriotic or unloving to his country, I think is taking it a bit too far. We have to respect the office of the president, give the president the deference of that office, and the rhetoric shouldn't rise to personal attack.
Rick, let me get to you on this, and it comes down to the respect question here, but not just respect for the office of president, but there would seem to be absolutely zero respect from anybody when it comes down whether it's the office in Congress, in the House, wherever. And doesn't this speak to the greater issue of just attack as much as you can, throw the firebomb in there and see where it lands?
Yeah, and it is a shame. I appreciate the way Bradley put it. I thought he put it very nicely. You know, the mayor might have been wise if he had listened to his first part of his sentence when he said, I know that what I'm going to say is horrible. That's usually your first clue that maybe you shouldn't say it at all. There is a total lack of respect among both sides of the aisle here when it comes to the office of the presidency, the Congress, the court. It's just gotten to be too much. I think this, unfortunately, is the topping on the cake, and maybe everybody will learn something from it.
But Rick, what has he got to gain by something like this? Because some people are saying that all he's doing is he's speaking to a very, very, very far right of the party, right, and it's not going to help anybody, certainly not help the GOP come 2016.
That's precisely right. Not only is it hard to see where Rudy himself had much to gain here, except for getting some publicity, and you almost can't escape the conclusion that this is what he was looking for. He needed to get himself a news cycle, and it succeeded. He was on every show you could be on yesterday. But he hurt his party, because this doesn't help the GOP where elections are won, and he put those who are actually candidates for the office of the presidency into a very awkward position. And frankly, only one of them has stepped up. Marco Rubio was the only one of these people who've been questioned and has been willing to say, no, that wasn't a very good thing to say. Scott Walker dodged it foolishly in an interview the next day, and everybody else is staying away from it. That in and of itself is a character thing, which I think is kind of disappointing.
All right, I want to hit on that with Bradley now, because there's the next side of this. There has been a call from a number of people on networks, websites, mostly on the left, saying every GOP contender now must separate themselves from this. They need to come out and apologize. If they don't, then they're making just as big a mistake as Giuliani. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think that Rudy is not a spokesperson for the GOP. He is a former mayor of New York. He happens to be a Republican, but he has no official title anymore, either with the party or at the as a elected official. So the Republicans, when asked, should speak up, as I've done and as Marco Rubio has done, and hopefully other Republicans, when asked, will speak up and say that the discourse in America, whether it's on the right or the left, must be respectful. The young people, if they see people that they respect acting badly or speaking against the president personally, it sets a tone. It's a danger for our country once we lose respect, not only for the people who serve in office, but for the decorum of our nation. So it's not incumbent upon them to speak out on their own or apologize, but when asked, they should address it for sure.
All right, 15 seconds, Rick, your response?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I don't think they necessarily have to have a press conference and respond. But those who have been asked so far, and we're all watching them, we want to see what their character is. They've handled it very badly, with the exception of Marco Rubio. Scott Walker, the worst.
Ah, there you go, that character issue again. My goodness, it must be politics. Gentlemen, please stand by. The immigration battle, the government shutdown battle, and the battle to see which guest can properly predict who'll win Best Cinematography at the Oscars. It's next. Back to work with the host of Steele and Ungar on Sirius XM from the left, Rick Ungar, and professor at Georgetown University from the right, Bradley Blakeman. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to comment on this. This is news just into us now. The Department of Justice will ask a higher court to stay a Texas judge's ruling that put on hold plans to provide deportation deferrals to people here illegally. Basically, this is the whole immigration issue. This is the Texas judge then who basically put everything on hold. The White House now and the DOJ are going to look to stay that ruling. Rick, to you first here. Is this something that the left has got to jump on here, got to get right back on it against the right and say, look, you guys lost this, it's enough, stay, and even the courts are guaranteeing us that we and the president did the right thing with the executive action?
Well, look, I mean, this is a little bit different than all of that, I have to say. This is a fascinating decision this judge came to. He was very smart. I got to give him that. I don't agree with where he ended up, but the way he crafted his ruling is going to make it somewhat difficult to overturn. It comes as no shock to me whatsoever that the Justice Department was quick to challenge the ruling and seek to have that on appeal overthrown. I don't know that they're going to succeed. This judge was so clever in using the administrative rules that this may be a tough one. And if they don't overturn it, this is going to be a real problem for what the president's trying to do.
What do you think, Bradley?
Well, there's no question about it. If the higher court doesn't give the stay, then I think the administration has some real egg on their face. But this is the modus operandi of the Obama administration. He taunts us. He says, if you don't like what I'm doing, sue me by his issuance of executive orders. And we do. We sue on immigration. We sue on EPA rulings, IRS, you name it. So the Justice Department is going to try and slow this up and try their best to run the clock out, as they've done with almost every other part of executive orders that have been challenged in the courts.
Okay, go ahead, Rick. I know you had a retort.
To be fair, yeah, when the president signed the executive order on immigration, he didn't say, if you don't like it, sue me. What he specifically said was, if you don't like it, Congress, deal with it, and I will tear this executive order up. Congress has yet to take on the issue. They're still chickening out on it. He didn't ask to be sued. He asked Congress to do their job.
What about that, Bradley?
No,
still
the
chickening out?
The president actually said, and I'm quoting him, sue me. When he issues the
and
executive
I'm quoting
orders,
the president. Bradley, are you disagreeing that did the president say to Congress, if you will pass legislation, I will tear this up, in those words? Are you disputing?
No, he said legislation.
Because I'll be happy to provide you the tape.
No, legislation that he could sign. I mean, this isn't a dictatorship. Where you extort.
He hasn't gotten any legislation yet.
You extort? No, because Harry Reid, when he was in office as the majority leader, wouldn't have these bills come to the
He's not
Senate.
there anymore, Bradley.
That's right. And
he's no longer the majority.
Now
Okay,
Republicans.
guys, I tell you what. I'm gonna get in here for just 1 second here, because the president did say this. This was 8 months ago, July 1st, 2014. He said middle-class families can't wait for Republicans in Congress to do stuff, so sue me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but did he also, guys, come on, did he also say, when he announced his executive order, that he would, quote, tear it up, unquote, when Congress acted?
Yeah, on a bill that he could sign. And that's the president.
He's got no bill.
Congress. You get a bill
Bradley,
that I can sign it.
Bradley, he's got a
that
point, though. The
argument would
president
have
is
some
waiting for the
water.
bill. I mean, I got to be fair here.
That would hold water if he got one that he vetoed. He's got no bill.
Is that
so
fair to say?
You can't criticize him for not signing it.
Well, he's got no bill because when Harry Reid wouldn't allow it to come to the floor.
He's gone.
And now Republicans are in charge.
He's gone.
And yeah, Republicans should get the president a bill. Not necessarily that he would, that in his dictatorial language that is okay for him. The president has got to
Bradley,
negotiate
are you aware
a bill.
of any bills? Are you aware of any bills being drafted on immigration in the House or the Senate?
Yes,
because
I am.
This is what I do for a living. Oh, you are? Tell me about it.
I know that offices are working on bills as we speak. They
Which
have
ones?
to now
Which
work
one?
through the process.
Okay, so we're
Which
going to leave that
offices are
there.
working on
Okay,
bills?
I only got about a minute left. I need to ask something important here with all this back and forth. Bradley, very quickly, has the president backed the Republicans into a corner here where they simply can't win in the whole immigration/DHS funding issue?
No, they have. He is not, and I think it's incumbent upon Republicans to play chess and not Russian roulette over this. We should get a bill through the House and the Senate and get it to the president, and not hold up DHS funding.
Okay, what about it, Rick?
Well, you know what? I'd love that. I'd love to know where it is. The DHS funding runs out in just a few days. Where's that bill going to come from that you can put in front of the president in such a short time?
Ah, I love it. Here we have just a wonderful Friday. It's time for a little political discourse. Two guys that I want to have back on a regular basis and do this because they know what they're talking about. All right, you guys, go back to my old haunts now. First of all, in New York, Rick Ungar.
We will go haunt.
And then go haunt. I may join you one of these days. Rick Ungar in New York and Bradley Blakeman in Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
All right, and we didn't even bother to ask them who's going to win cinematography, but I thought I'd let them loose on that. All right, time for the Oscars. Red carpet, Hollywood's political leanings to go on full display. Plenty of controversy about who even votes. Yes, there is more than just voting here. It's not that simple. MidPoint continues.